no idea a facility may be releasing toxins into the air that they breathe. In fact, even city leaders say they didn't know anything about it. They were clueless.
In less than an hour, people in Smyrna will gather to learn more about the chemical being emitted by Smyrna Sterigenics and its long-term effects there for them. Our Ryan Kruger is live in Smyrna tonight with a preview. So Ryan, neighbors are actually bringing in some help who have very similar battles to them before.
Yeah, and with the same company, Aisha, we're talking about Sterigenics. They also have a plant in the suburbs of Chicago, and neighbors there heard the same stories about the same toxic gas being released. They lobbied their politicians hard enough that they actually got that plant temporarily shut down. It's still not reopened, and tonight, some of the women who spearheaded that group, they're going to be speaking with neighbors in Smyrna tonight about this. Now, at issue is a toxic, odorless gas called ethylene oxide. It is used to sterilize medical equipment here at the Sterigenics plant. We're just outside of Smyrna. Now, the EPA says parts of this area have a higher cancer rate than is normal. But, and this is important, the EPA says Sterigenics is not doing anything illegal. They fall under all of the current federal and state guidelines when it comes to emissions. That being said, Sterigenics has told local lawmakers they will be installing new technology to limit the emissions. Tonight, founders of the group Stop Sterigenics will be speaking with neighbors about their options moving forward, both through politicians and through the courts. I spoke with one of the founding members today through video messenger.
Stick together, stay strong, and never let up on your legislators. Make sure they know that this is an important issue for you, and you're going to get results.
Now, Smyrna residents aren't alone. About 50 miles to the east of them, people living by the Becton-Dickinson plant in Covington, they learned that that same toxic gas is being released there. Again, the EPA saying that part of town, a higher rate of cancer than what is typically considered normal. Now, back out here live in Smyrna, neighbors are actually being pretty cautious about this meeting. They've actually asked me not to televise the address of where it's going on. They're trying to do more word of mouth, have a smaller group to begin with. We will be speaking with some of those neighbors tonight. We'll bring you a full report tonight on Up Late. We'll see you then, Aisha.